Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is a handover video of a Mobilvetta K-Yacht 79. So as we start the walk round, on the driver's side of the vehicle first, the first thing you want to do when you arrive on your site is turn your gas supply on. So this is your gas locker. Using the habitation key here, which opens this lock, and all the locks on the outside of the motorhome, you can gain access into your gas compartment. So this is my test bottle, and your motorhome does run off propane, not butane. Butane is summer gas, but you will need a different pigtail. This is all set up for propane. So what you need to do is you can get two bottles in here, tie your bottles in, but to connect this pipe from the regulator, which is this, to the bottle, which is known as the pigtail, on this particular vehicle, it's got a thumb-wheeled pigtail on, so it means that you don't need a spanner. You can just tighten it with your thumb until it's tight, turn the cylinder on, turn it off before you travel, and always ensure that it's strapped in and turned off before you start travelling, so it's safe for yourselves and other road users. Should one bottle ever become empty, if you are carrying a spare, just unscrew your pigtail and put it on your spare bottle and get your other one exchanged. Habitation door opens with the main ignition key, the main habitation key. You've got two fridge vents, an awning light and a Fiamma awning, which we can show you on collection because it's a bit windy today. You've got a bit of storage in here, so this is a great place to keep your wet hookup lead, your levelling ramps, your chocks of wood, whatever you're wanting to use on the outside of the van, put in here, and then you don't have to put it in the garage and you don't have to drag it through into the motorhome. External TV point, so you've got a TV point here, but it is a continental, so you'll need a continental adapter for the mains and a continental adapter for the 12 volt, because this is a continental 12 volt, not a UK 12 volt. So if you try to put ours in, they're a lot bigger than that, so you can buy the adapters from online caravan shops for the outside. This is your external gas point. So you can get a quick release connection which pops onto there. Then you'll need a length of gas rubber hose, Jubilee clip to connect the quick release connector onto the hose, and the other end onto the Kadak or external barbecue. Goes into there, and you can have a barbecue or use your Kadak outside using the main bottle on board the vehicle without carrying a spare. Large garage area. So you've got your awning winding handle, your rafter bar for the centre bar of your awning, just with it being a slightly bigger awning. Cab carpets are here. Tethering points if you ever want to tie anything down. These move up and down these rails across the full length of the vehicle, and you do have lights in your garage which again come off and you can carry them to where you need them. So if you need light in a certain cupboard, or you can move it. The bed, however, on this vehicle is electric, so using the key which goes in here, you can operate the bed on an electric motor, so you can raise it up if you're going to put a bike in the back or anything large. It does put the bed up slightly, but it gives you that little bit more headroom on board the vehicle and in the garage. Come around the back of the van, you've got your high level reversing camera, parking sensors on the back. Flue for your boiler, so your boiler is in the garage, which I'll show you in a separate clip once we've finished the walk round of the van. This just allows the fumes out when operating on gas, but it does operate on both sources, mains 230 volt and gas. Push the catches in, release the door. This is your cassette toilet, so put your fingers under, lift the orange handle up and slide it out. You can then carry it, or you can wheel it to the waste disposal point. And then to empty it, you need to lift the spout up, take the grey cap off, put the grey cap to the side for one moment, and then when you go to tip the contents out, as soon as you start tipping, just press the blue button and it just allows the liquid to come out of the cassette. Once you've emptied it, put some water in and give it a rinse, and then fill it with a cap full of blue liquid. That's why that liquid's blue, because it's got chemical in. So a cap full of blue liquid into here, and it'll degrade everything in the cassette, and you can pop it straight back into the vehicle and use your toilet. External shower points, so you've got a hot and cold shower on this vehicle. Obviously you do have to have had the boiler on for hot water, so it won't be hot straight away. Pop it on 15-20 minutes and you'll get hot water, but this is great if you want to hose the bikes off, the kids, the dogs, the boots before putting everything away in your garage area. To hook the vehicle up, whether you're on a site or you're at home charging the van, you get your hooker blade, you want to lift the collar up, you want to slide it on the van first, hooking the vehicle first, and then making the cable live by hooking it up to the house or the site, and do it in reverse order when unhooking, so that you're never walking around with a live lead. Some more storage here as well, so again, leveling ramps, hooker blades, wellies, boots, anything that you don't want to drag into the van you can put in there. Fresh water fill up, so to fill your fresh water, it's here. Your fresh water tank is underneath your dinette seat, which I'll talk more about once inside the vehicle, but to fill it, carry a hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site. Pop the hose into the vehicle and wait until it overflows, or you can check on board your control panel that you have enough water. And again, this is a lockable cap with a habitation key. You can lock this to stop people from tampering with your water. If you want to fill with diesel, use the main fate key, which you can put in here, fill with diesel fuel and pop it back on. You can't go wrong because one says diesel and one's blue. Just make sure you're always filling the one nearest the A-class passenger door with diesel. Toolkit is underneath this seat here, which includes a jack and a brace and a tonai. There's a little switch here just behind the seat, which is your heated floor switch. So when you're hooked up, you can turn this on, and what it'll do is it won't warm the floor so that you can walk around in bare feet. However, it will take the chill off the floor. So it's not as good as a household heated floor, but it will do the job of just in the winter making the floor that little bit warmer so that it's not freezing cold on your feet. If you ever want to turn the seats around, this lifts up, so there's on both sides, on the outside sides of the seats, there's a orange lever. Lift that up and you'll be able to spin both seats round into the rear. Engine battery lives underneath the cab floor, not underneath the bonnet, but your bonnet release is on the side here, so if you pop your hand between the side and pop it up, and then there's just a lever here that pops up. That goes on there. And in here you've got your fluids, so you've got your screen wash just right at the back, followed by your power steering fluid, your coolant and your brake fluid, oil filler and your dipstick. And then if you ever need a jump start, earth up here for giving or receiving a jump start, and then if you just put your positive just underneath this cover here, and that will give or receive a jump start to the vehicle. So in the garage area, if you open the double doors, in here you've got your boiler. So your boiler does two jobs on this motorhome. Heats 10 litres of water, which it stores, and provides hot air, which is your heating around the vehicle. So what you probably need to do is take one of the lights clip off, turn it on and pop it in here, because you'll probably not see otherwise. And what you've got here in front of me is a Truma anti-frost control valve. So at 3 degrees, it'll automatically drop the water. So this is your boiler drain. It's very important that you never become 100% reliant on this valve in case it ever does fault and needs replaced. You're relying on that to allow the water out the boiler. If it doesn't allow the water out the boiler and it freezes over the winter, unfortunately, you're in for a big repair bill because it will need a new boiler. So what you want to do is you want to drain it down. So if the button pushes out at the bottom, that's automatic, so it's automatically dropped the water. So you just need to push this blue button back in until it's flushed like it is now. However, if you want to manually do it, you turn the diamond, the button pops out and the water drains directly out underneath the van. We leave this open in this position when not using the vehicle, and when you come to reuse the vehicle, turn the diamond on the top and push the button in. If the button stays in, great, you then be able to fill the vehicle with water, prime it through your system. If it doesn't, because you're using it for that odd weekend in the winter to get away, what's probably best is that before you turn your pump on, yes, you can go and fill your freshwater tank, making sure the plug's in, shut all your taps, fill your freshwater tank, put it onto your pitch, hook it up, put it onto electric or electric and gas on the heating without the water on, heat this area up. Because it's such a tight space, this area gets really warm, and then what you'll be able to do is just push the button in and it should stay in because this detects that it's not cold anymore. So that's a top tip, a little hack for you if you are struggling to keep that button in, or there's power in here, plug a hairdryer in and heat the area up and push the button in. But make sure it's drained off in the winter to avoid the water from freezing. So once on board the vehicle, if you just touch your control panel, so it's all a touch screen, it'll wake up, and it's quite easy, this control panel. So it tells you the date and the time, the interior and outside temperature. The leisure batteries are on charge because we're hooked up. You've got your settings, you've got the reading of your cab battery and your leisure battery. Leisure battery will always give you a false reading when hooked up, so take the hook out to get a true reading of the battery. Fresh water, wastewater. This second one is redundant. There's not 2 wastewater tanks on here. It's just a generic control panel. So we've got 25% in your fresh, 0 in your waste. To turn your lights on, you need the main circuit breaker on for the lights, which is here. So you just need to press that, then they are individually switched around the van. Same with the awning light, which is this one. Picture of the van. You can turn your awning light on. You can turn your pump on. So you need your pump on to pressurize the water around the taps, toilet and shower. Without that, you'll just get whatever's left in the lines and it will just fade away. And you do have your auxiliary switch there, which you'll need on for your ignition and other bits and pieces around the van. To turn the panel off, you just press the off button in the bottom right hand corner, which turns it off. And then as soon as you press, after giving it a moment, it'll come back on. So to operate your digital Truma CP control panel, to turn the system on and off, you'd press and hold to turn it off, press it once to turn it on and it'll come on, and then to get into the menu you just press it once. You'll notice you've got a thermometer in a van flashing at the top corner. If you press enter, this is how hot you want your vehicle. So you've got all the way off in the summer when you don't want the heating, or you've got all the way to 30 degrees in the winter when it's very cold. So once you're happy, so if we say 27 degrees there, that's how hot I want the inside of the motorhome to be. I'd press enter and that'll save that at 27 degrees. Now you've got a thermometer in some water. This is how hot you want your water. So if you don't have any water on board, you'd have it on off. 40 degrees for showering, 60 degrees for doing your dishes, but it's entirely up to yourself how hot you want your water. Or you've got boost, which will turn off your heating and prioritize your water first. But for this, we'll just say 60 degrees because we want the heating to run along with the water. Next, you've got what source you're heating the water and the vehicle off. So you've got gas, So make sure your gas bottle's on and it's turned on. You've got mix 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. You've got mix 2, which is 1850 watts of electric plus gas. So you'd use mix 2 in the winter. If you're away and it was really cold, use a mix 2. Will boost the vehicle up to temperature because you're using both sources together. Then you can turn it over to electric. So you've got electric 750 watts EL1, and you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. Don't waste your gas if you're on a site, unless you're away and it's really cold and you're using mix 2 for the first 10-15 minutes. Then allow electric to continue to heat the motorhome and maintain the temperature. Because if you're on a site, you've paid your site fees after all, you'll not want to waste your gas. Then you've got your fan in the top right hand corner, so eco or high or boost. This is just a 12 volt assisted fan. So eco will use less 12 volt. High obviously uses more fan speed, so it's going to use a little bit more 12 volt. And boost uses full power on the fan, which is going to use the most out of the 12 volt battery. Sleep with it on eco because it's a lot quieter than sleeping with it on anything else. If you're going to sleep with the heating on in the winter, you've got a timer so you can time the heating to come on and off, just the once though. Clock in the middle, and then spanner. You can go all the way down to reset, and to reset the control panel, if you ever get a warning triangle in the middle, reset, preset, click again, and it will restart your control panel. And then to turn off, press and hold, and it'll say off, and it'll completely turn itself off. So in the kitchen, you do have 3 gas burners on your Dometic hob here. Once you've had them on, if you do, just allow them to cool before you put the glass lid down, otherwise there is a chance you could shatter the lid. And just up here, you've got an extractor fan when you're cooking as well, if you don't want the window open. Light switches, 230 volt socket and twin USBs at the bottom. Waste bin. Making sure the pump's on, you'll get a pressurised flow of water on both hot and cold, and this is starting to warm up now, so your hot water system is working as it should. Lifting the handle up on the drawers will allow you to open, and you do have a cutlery drawer. And then if you slide this compartment out, this is where your sink cover lives. So this is a cover which goes over the sink and just gives you that little extra space to put your chopping board when you're prepping meals in the vehicle. And a large drawer at the bottom. Push the catch in and open this door, and you do have some storage, but if you lift this up you can slide out some more, and you've got some real good pan storage at the back. 3 one side, 2 the other on your gas, so there's 5 gas isolation valves here. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced. The technician will test each gas appliance by turning one off. However, if you've got any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. But if you were wild camping and you didn't want it to ruin your holiday and you know what gas appliance is causing the issue, you can shut it off here. So all you need to do is, these are all in the open position. To turn it off, you just turn it the other way. So this is closed, that's open. So do just be careful with gas, and obviously make sure you get your vehicle annually habitation serviced for your own safety every year. So this side of the kitchen, you've got your Dometic oven and grill. So you've got a spark ignition here, which runs off your 12 volt system. So you can either have the grill on, or if you turn it the other way, you can have the oven on, which is on at the back. You may just want to take these out when you travel to stop them rattling. And you do have a oven and grill light just here, so you can see when you do have the door closed. So to operate your Dometic fridge freezer, so you've got a separate freezer compartment and a separate fridge. To operate, you've got a control panel in the middle, so what you need to do is press and hold and you'll be able to turn it on and off. You can then press the square button and change it through the sources. However, if A stays on, A stands for automatic energy selection, so it picks the best source available to the motorhome at any one time. And it will always prioritise mains 230 volt. So if you're at home and you're pre-chilling, you've hooked the vehicle up to charge your leisure battery, put your fridge on, put your shopping in the night before you go away, allow that to chill. Or if you're on a site, you'll want to be using mains 230 volt. However, if I was to unhook the vehicle, because I've got my test bottle on, what happens is it then finds a alternative source, so it will change over to gas and self-ignite. You'll hear a tick 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 and it'll light on gas because the gas bottle's open and on the vehicle. And then if I take the keys to the ignition and start the engine, it will find 12 volt from the alternator, not from the leisure battery. It's only when the vehicle is running, and it's designed to keep the temperature that it was previously set at. So that's why I mentioned about pre-chilling at home, or if you're moving from one site to another site but you've got to drive in between, it'll just keep your fridge and your shopping down to temperature. So it'll act like a giant cool box. It'll get no warmer, but it'll get no cooler. It'll just maintain the temperature it was previously at before departing. This is your temperature here. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 5 being the coldest. Once you put your shopping in, you may just want to bring it down. And to stop this panel from condensing, you can press the square button on the far right hand side, which just stops the control panel from condensing up there and freezing. And if you did want to manually change the source, all you need to do is press the left hand square button and get rid of the A. So you've got mains 230 volt, battery, code 6 failure, loss of 12 volt because the engine isn't running at present, or gas. It does wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas once you've turned the engine off, just in case you have left your gas bottle open on the automatic setting. So if it does not work for 20 minutes, just change it over, because it's just a safety feature that the fridge is programmed to do. And then when you're not using the vehicle, turn the fridge off, open the doors up, and when you open the doors, underneath both of here you've got two little toggles, and these are ventilation catches, and they go into the top hinge, and it just keeps the door ajar and allows air to circulate in and out of the fridge and freezer to avoid smells. So underneath your lounge floor here in this compartment, if you lift this up, this is your consumer unit. So you've got mains 230 volt and your main trip test. So if you think the vehicle isn't receiving power, however you've hooked it up, the best way to check is by tripping the RCD out of the vehicle. If that trips, you've got power. If it doesn't trip, you've not got power. So check where your hookup lead is plugged into. Here you've got all your 12 volt fuses, which are listed on the ampage of what fuses you've got, and you've got 13 fuses in this distribution board. Carry some spare fuses with you, which you can get assortment packs of them from Amazon, eBay, any car shop. Just carry them in the vehicle, because if a 12 volt appliance isn't working, it's more than likely going to be a fuse that's just popped, and all you need to do is pick the fuse out. There's a little fuse puller there, check the fuse. If it has blown, just replenish the fuse. And if you are storing the vehicle, you've got a battery switch off here, so you can have it off or on, and you can turn this off to stop a 12 volt power drain on your vehicle. We've also got two main battery fuses here as well, so if you're struggling with 12 volt, just check them fuses as well as the ones in your distribution board. So underneath your double dinette seat, which incorporates your two rear travelling seats, if you take the cushion off and lift the infill board that's in here, this is your onboard freshwater tank. So this is around 100 litres of fresh water. It might even be a little bit more than that. Some of them are 110, 120 litres. It's very important that if you've taken on a source of contaminated water, or you are not using the vehicle for a while, let the water out of the van. It's also really important that in the winter that you don't store the vehicle with any water in, because when we're experiencing colder temperatures in our winter climate, you wouldn't want the water to freeze, because it would cause problems to this tank, because it's just plastic, the pipework, the pump, and then when you use the vehicle in the upcoming season, you'll have loads of problems and you'll be wanting to try and get it repaired as quick as you can to get using it again, and it will be a costly mistake to make. So what you need to do is to drain it down, red cap, take the red cap off, put your hand in the water, and you've got a lever here. This lever is a plug. It lifts up and it pulls out, and there's a drain out point directly out underneath the van. It will drain all the water underneath the vehicle, underneath the chassis, until there's no water left in it. But like I say, make sure it's drained off in the winter to avoid the water from freezing and causing any damage. You've also got your Sure Flow pump here. So this is a 30 psi water pump. So when you put your water pump on your control panel and you open the tap, this kicks in to pressurise the water around the van. There is a filter on here which is just here, and what you need to do with this filter is, when you winterise, it's very important that you take the plastic cap off. The plastic cap has got a little filter in and it houses water, so to avoid water sitting in the cap and cracking and causing problems and then having a leak when you come to use it, just get a tea towel, unscrew that. Once you have drained the tank off, open the taps. Once you've opened the taps and drained the boiler off, turn your pump on for 10 seconds and blow any water out of the pump that's sitting in here, or the pump, or the filter, or the line. Once you've done that, no longer than 10 seconds, because you'll damage the pump if you leave it on any longer, is take the cover off. Pop that somewhere handy so that before you come to reuse it, you pop that on, you shut all your taps within the van, you shut your boiler, you put your plug in your fresh water tank, and then you could fill the vehicle back up. Note, when you do come to refill the vehicle back up, on the cold side of the tap you'll get a pressurised flow straight away. However, on the hot side, what will happen is, because there's no water in the boiler and it's transferring the water from this tank to the boiler, which I'll talk about further on in the video, what you need to do is, it'll cough and splutter on the boiler on the hot side, because it's pushing the water from this tank into the boiler and pushing all the air out through the tap. So you might get air for 3 or 4 minutes until you get a pressurised flow of water. Once you've got that, your system is primed for the season. But make sure all the water in the winter is drained off the vehicle. Fresh, waste, taps open, pump, boiler, everything. So this switch here is very important. So because your freshwater tank is on board, your waste water tank is bolted to the chassis underneath the van. So it's very susceptible to the outside air and weather conditions. So in the winter, when you're using the van and it's going to freeze overnight, just put the switch on. Stops the dirty water from freezing in the tank because it's all sitting there. So it keeps it above freezing conditions. If you didn't want to leave the water in the tank, what you can do is you can use this little bucket and decant the water and leave it open. Some people do that when they go to colder climates with the motorhomes, but normally in this country you can just turn that on and it'll stop the water from freezing when using it in the winter when it's going to freeze overnight. So this vehicle is fitted with the 4G motorhome Wi-Fi system. So you've got her Hawaii router box there, and behind it it's connected to a dock which has got 2 aerial leads in, because there's an antenna on the roof of the motorhome. So all you need to do is get a data only SIM card, stick with the big providers. EE and Vodafone have the best coverage throughout this country. Smarty SIM, which they recommend, is piggybacked off 3 mobile. So what I would personally do is not go with Smarty, go with Vodafone or EE, because they've got the better coverage, so you'll get Wi-Fi wherever you go. The antenna on the roof will get you a 10 times stronger signal than your mobile device gets you. And all you need to do is pop the SIM in the back, so take the back off. Your passcode is the Wi-Fi key on the bottom here, which is different on every Wi-Fi system. And then your SIM card would go in here or here, depending on what size it is. If it's small there, if it's the bigger one in here. Sometimes you do need the little adapters to go in. Pop that in, connect up to 10 devices to the mobile network. So you could have your telly on it, you could have your iPad on it, you could have your phones on it, and you'll get mobile Wi-Fi wherever you go. So in the centre of this motorhome, you have the central washroom. So you've got the toilet one side, the sink in the middle, and the shower the other. So starting off with the shower, always make sure that the shower tie backs are on before you travel, which are these straps here, which you just pull off, and you can use the shower doors, but pop them on before you do travel, just so that they're nice and safe and secure. You've got a duck board here. This just lifts out. It's just more for bearing weight, and if you're wanting to store things in there, light things, you can, and it not affect the shower tray. When you're hanging your wet coats, if you've been out in the rain, hang them here on some hangers and they'll drip dry, or wet towels, that's your towel hanging rail. And to open your skylight, you just open it by turning, and you've got a little hatch there so you can open and have a bit of ventilation, but make sure all your skylights and windows are closed before you do travel. Make sure when you winterize as well, this pipe could hold water, and it's just a rubber silicone pipe. So what you need to do is unscrew the shower head from the hose and lie this down with the mixer tap open, just to allow any water that's in there or the lines behind the shower cubicle to drain away in the winter to avoid causing frost damage. Central sink with light switches either side, so you've got little rocker switches. You've got the blue on your right, and on your left you do have the main spotlights. Push plug, making sure the pump's on, you get a pressurized flow of water, and that is red hot now, that water. Push the catches in and you've got some toiletry storage. You've also got a storage compartment in the floor, which is quite handy. You do have doors in the washroom, from the washroom to the bedroom, if you did have guests in the front and you wanted to keep the bedroom and the front of the van separate, so that everyone can use the toilet, you do, as well as a door in the middle here, which is just tied back, which just comes off with the leather straps, same as the other doors. And then if you want to use the toilet, make sure the pump's on, press the blue button here. This is your flush button and your water comes from your freshwater tank, which I've shown you at the front of the vehicle. Press. So like I was saying about the toilet, so make sure the pump's on, and on the Mobilvetta you've also got to make sure the auxiliary switch is on, which is the aux switch on the control panel, which is next to the pump. So turn them both on. You'll get a pressurized flow of cold water from your freshwater onboard tank by pressing the blue button. Always put a small amount of water in first before you use it, which helps lubricate the blade and the seal. And then what you want to do is, this is the blade handle, slide that to the right, opens it up. You can do what you need to do, give it a good flush after use. If you've got any pink, obviously the pink doesn't go anywhere because it's freshwater fed. It's not like a Caravan or some other motorhomes where they've got a separate header tank for the cistern. But what you could do is you could put a small amount of pink in a spray bottle, rest water, spray the bowl, flush, and then close it back to the left once you're finished. And then once the cassette indicates that it's full, you'll get 3 green lights underneath the diagram of the cassette. So in the very back of the vehicle, you've got your central island bed with wardrobe spaces either side, socket underneath, light switch, as well as a little blue reading light switch, as well as 2 readers, storage above. You can lift the front of the bed up and you've got storage in here, which is quite handy. And you've got a place for a TV in the bedroom, so you've got a bracket, 12 volt point, aerial point, and 230 volt socket. These lights you just touch to turn on. So there's a few of them throughout the vehicle, but you just touch, you can turn the main ceiling light on. So in the A-Class front, as this is a 4-berth vehicle, you've got another double bed above me, but you need to fold down your captain seats to allow the bed to come down. So on the side of the seat, you've got a silver lever. Lift that up, slide it down. Make sure that the seat's not too far forward. Bring it back slightly so that the seat can recline to its full. Otherwise the bed will not stay down, it'll jump back up. And you'll wonder why, and it's because you've got the seat too far forward. Press the button to unlock the seat belt, pull it down, and there you have another double bed. Ladder would clip on here, and as you add weight, the bed will stay in position like it is there. There's also a safety net underneath if you're putting children in, which clips in on the rail at the top just to stop them falling out, and you do have a skylight with a blackout blind and fly screen on there if you wanted to have that open on a hot summer's night.